Oh my God, you kicked me in the dick.
I didn't.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Business Deep Dives. I am your host, Nigel Worcestershire, and tonight we are here at McKenzie Enterprises, where we take a deep dive with Carmen McKenzie and her team. How are we doing this evening, ladies and gentlemen?
Doing pretty good.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm great. I'm great.
Why don't you guys introduce yourselves to us here for the people at home?
I am Carmen McKenzie, the youngest of McKenzie. I am the co-owner of McKenzie Enterprises.
Absolutely.
I'm Alistair Sampson. I'm the golden child of the McKenzie family, and I'm also the co-owner of McKenzie Enterprises.
The golden child, and how did you get that name? How did that come about?
He's delusional.
Oh, right, all right, absolutely.
I'm the favorite. That's how that came
No, he's
about.
not.
And next up was a bloke I'm rather familiar with myself and had the pleasure of working with in the past. And how are you?
I'm great. I'm Wyatt McKenzie. I am the chief operating officer of McKenzie
The chief something officer.
Yep.
CSO
something
of
another.
McKenzie Enterprises. All right, absolutely. And what was that like, being the chief of some things and other things?
It's great, doing things and stuff and things.
Doing things and stuff, stopping things, making things sure that things are done and the stuff is on top of, correct?
Yep.
It couldn't have been a better man for the job. Why, fantastic seeing you again, mate. Right, absolutely.
Definitely.
So, without further ado, diving right in, taking a deep dive into just a fantastic, amazing company here that is McKenzie Enterprises. I need you, Carmen, to tell us a little bit about what was where did the initial idea come from of you wanting to dive into this thing and starting this in the first place? Take us through that journey of what that thought process was like.
Well, it was initially a reboot, honestly. When I got to the city, I started doing business cards pretty early for Los Santos Diatribes, and then later moved on to working with Obsidian Marketing, which was ran by Davina, and also co-owned by the Lieutenant Governor at the time, Rico. And I wasn't known to be the artist. I was shy at that point in time. They would do everything as far as talking to the customer for me. I just do the art, give it to them. Nobody really knew that I was the one behind it, but a lot of them knew the first original logos and business cards I did way before people knew I did them. And that stopped for a little bit because I got into a life of crime adjacent, I would say. And so the idea for the reboot was basically me getting over an artistic slump and saying to myself that I needed to start finding a way to make money because every other way I had tried wasn't working, and I wasn't happy in the life I was in, and I wanted a way out. Which is why Alistair is the owner. I asked him, as my brother at the time, to be the owner of the company because I want to make sure that if I wasn't able to get out of that life, that I wouldn't lose this opportunity in the meantime. You know what I mean? So the original idea was I wanted a place for not just me, but anyone else in the family to go to express our artistic side in a legal way. So we'd all have a way out of whatever we're into.
And so Alistair sort of came, and was able to safeguard the project for you and your family in case sort of something happened. Somebody strayed a bit, right?
Mm-hmm. He was a You were LSPD at the time, right?
Yeah, I would have been LSPD at the time.
I met him, ironically, through trying to get Benefactor. He was working at PDM.
I owned PDM at the time.
I had met him briefly through his first wife, who was my lawyer. And so I was asking for his advice on like how to get Benefactor. This was before we were even brother and sister. And like the moment I knew that I had to get out, I was actually on the phone with him, like of the illegal stuff. And I, mid conversation with him, got raided.
You got raided?
Yeah, I was at.
It's by law enforcement.
I was at Death Row Auto Body, which was Deuces. We had renamed it to Deuces at the time.
Right.
Tried to rebrand. Because it was connected to Death Row MC. It was raided in connection to things that had occurred within the MC. The MC itself had folded days prior to the raid, but that wasn't like public knowledge or anything. So it was, they didn't find anything, but it was a humbling experience. And I was never able to go back to working there after that.
So you were working there. You weren't part of the motorcycle club in itself.
I was, but the club had folded by that time.
Gotcha.
So.
Right. So the federal agencies come in to raid the business of where you're employed, correct? And so that's how you were involved in the raid.
Yeah. I was
Unbelievable.
alone, and I was opening it to work it, and that and Benefactor to me meant, getting out of that life. So that was kind of taken away from me for a couple months, and by the time I was back comfortable trying to get out again. Alistair and I were brother and sister. I had been adopted, and that's the entire reason I was scared to put in my name.
I think we'd very much built a relationship. I think there's very much a image the McKenzie family has, but me and Carmen are very, very, very close. She's not just my sister; she is my best friend.
Right.
We work very well together, and back then, I think we spent. There wasn't a day that we didn't talk to each other.
Absolutely. And you mentioned becoming brother and sister and being adopted. So you were adopted into Alistair's family. Is that what I'm following here?
Yeah, all McKenzies are adopted. I think May is the original. And then everybody else kind of fell into place. And I was the second to last, the last being Layla of the siblings. And of course, siblings have gone on to adopt their own children at this point, but we're mostly just made up of adopted families. We have our own, obviously, background of families, either estranged or no longer in whatever degree. It's we get a lot of flack because we're so big, and I get it. But I mean, this family really saved my life. So
absolutely. And I mean, would you say that if we could dive into that a little bit, would you say that some of your, maybe estranged or troubled family upbringing could have led to some of that sort of crime adjacent lifestyle, if you would?
yes and no. My cousin was the leader of Destro. He still is in the MC life, and I still love him to pieces, even though he's a pain in my ass. So I do have blood relatives in the state, or a relative. But I think as far as me going into the criminality side of things, it was more so I fell for the wrong person, or I thought I did. And I was a little bit too in deep by the time I realized that I didn't actually have feelings.
They say you are who you surround yourself with. So what would you say this was a bit of circumstance of that? You're in this relationship and that lifestyle, you're just sort of bleeding into it, right?
I mean, sure. I mean, at the end of the day, at some point, you had to take responsibility for your own actions.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I tried to fit in, and that's on me.
Sure thing.
But I also didn't feel like I was in a position where I could stray from it too much until I joined the McKenzie family. And then I started to feel a little bit more like I had somewhere to go. Like I wasn't just
Right.
in fear all the time.
You're no longer trapped by the lifestyle, right? You know, they say once you're in, you know, there's no way out type deal. So you found McKenzie Enterprises, you found that light. And so, Alistair, if we could dive in a bit, mate, what's that like for you, being a member of the law enforcement and having this sort of, you know, crime adjacent sister, if you would?
I've always had a line professionally and emotionally, and my family are very aware of that. They know that there is a line they can't cross. In my workplace, if anything involved my family, I would immediately step away, and I've always
recuse yourself from that, right?
Yes, I
Absolutely.
have always supported Carmen in being her own person and helped her when needed. I'm very much for people reforming and making their own lives and not being trapped in these organizations or these groups.
Absolutely, it seems right. It seems like you were a little bit of the light here for Carmen, giving her this out here as well. So that is a fantastic, you know, story of the background of how this whole thing got started, from humble beginnings on Spanish Avenue to now over here on Boulevard del Piero, one of the most sought after pieces of real estate here in the state of San Andreas. McKenzie Enterprises is now one of the largest and most successful businesses in the state of San Andreas. How has the team here managed to achieve such success in such a short time?
I mean, we've been here for not in this specific location for the full 2 years, but essentially, you know, I've been doing this for 2 years since 2021, and this wasn't long after. What started as just me and Alistair, a brother-sister team, eventually grew. We added in Pippi Dupons, who really helped us accelerate from a 2-person, 3-person show to a more corporate structure, allowing us to hire more artists and become a job maker inside the city for any artist that is interested and has the time and dedication to hone their craft. We have accidentally, I guess, become the premier marketing firm. We don't have the highest prices, but we don't have the lowest either. I think we're a middle ground, but we do have high standards. And I feel like being true to our artists, being true to ourselves, networking the way we have has helped. It doesn't hurt that I know a lot of people before coming into this specific business. Alistair has connections as well. And my stint in government also didn't hinder. So I think it's accumulation of things, you know, beyond just Alistair saving me. You know, I would have to say James Paxton also saved me by giving me a chance to prove myself wrong, that I could be more than just an old lady with a cut, you know?
Absolutely. And with something in the form of art, like what you guys deal in, how does McKenzie Enterprises sort of, you know, vet some of your team and know that you're going to be able to provide the high standard of quality that even you yourself have mentioned, and that we continually see McKenzie Enterprises produce? It's got to be a hard thing to stay on top of.
I'll let Wyatt take a stab at this one.
So I think overall it's a combination of just having folks that know what they're doing and having people that really enjoy doing this, and they're not doing it for the money. They're doing it for because they like it, because they love it.
Absolutely. You've just built a team full of passion here, is what
Yeah.
it seems at McKenzie
Yeah.
Enterprises. Right. And so go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. The QA process is ongoing too for all of us, self included. Anyone doing art will always poke and prod each other and be like, "Hey, I see what you're doing there. I feel like maybe you're not feeling this one so much. Can you tell me your creative process so we can work together to bring you up to your full potential?" Because sometimes you're going to get an order where you're just not really you're not into it, or maybe you're going through creative block, and that team element, being able to have the resource of your coworkers really helps, because we're all artists. We know that, we've been through it, and as long as you can take constructive feedback, then you could be successful here.
Absolutely. So offering sort of a bit of a mentorship with your artists, but still allowing them to have that creative expression in their art, right? And some of that freedom.
Yes.
That's fantastic. And so McKenzie Enterprises has, you've worked with some of the biggest names in entertainment. It's some of the biggest names in government and law enforcement and just business as a whole in the state. How did you manage to secure all those partnerships?
Just our positions in government have helped. Our past with our past with even just people in our everyday casual life has helped. Like, my criminality background has helped. Everything goes into it, really. It's all about networking and connections, and you never know when those connections are going to happen. I mean, for instance, I happen to have owned Handlebar originally when it was Uncaged. That's what I had named it. And through that, I had met Night Import. And I, through working with James Paxton, ended up on a scuba diving trip with Jonathan Swizz. And I was there with James Paxton, Drake Paxton, Alyssa, and DeFrank, and I think Josh Midman was there too. And Josh was talking to Jonathan about why he didn't have a sub for sub tours, and I'm like, that's an amazing idea. So after that meeting, I introduced him to Night Imports, and it's pretty much that. That's it. That's how it happens. You take opportunities when they come to you, and you make ideas into reality. And I think that was inspired for me by Jack Callow, because when I first got to the city, when I was still the unnamed artist working for Davina and Obsidian Marketing, I made his business card, and one of the quotes that Davina passed from him to me was "Everybody eats." So that's kind of the mentality that I've used to drive myself, is making sure everybody around me gets to be empowered and gets to eat.
Absolutely. What a fantastic mentality of a business owner here. And it's very easy to see how this thing has grown, how it has, and really flourished into this amazing company here. Can you walk us through a little bit of what's it like for a business that wants to work with McKenzie and kind of create a project from start to finish?
Well, I mean, everybody has an opportunity. Actually, part of Wyatt's position as the chief operations officer has been the workflow. So I'll go ahead and let him answer that one too.
So obviously orders start, you can either call somebody who's clocked in or through our ordering portal. We do online orders 24/7. Well, not 24/7, but you can start the process anytime. We'll sit down with you. We'll talk about what your goals are, what you want to achieve. We'll learn a bit about you as the client, and then see what's best for you. We'll get that quoted for you. We'll get that invoiced, and then it'll go to the artist. The artist will work through their creative process, kind of give you some ideas, and continue to get to know you. through that process and hopefully get you a product at the end that you enjoy.
So, what are sort of some of the biggest challenges that McKenzie Enterprises faces with growing the business? Where I'm sure you have all these businesses that are coming and maybe wanting business cards done, even a TV commercial or something like that. You know, what challenges do you sort of face with being able to keep up with the demand in sort of not overgrowing, if that makes sense?
Yeah, so we've actually gone through a lot of downsizing recently. We've had a lot of issues of maintaining the pace. We're definitely outpacing ourselves.
Understandable, right?
So we're going back to focusing on doing just graphics. We were doing a lot of event planning and things like that, but we've had those teams of people that are passionate in that break out and do their own thing. So our big thing is just honing in what we've always been really good at, which is the graphics and the marketing of a person. And we're starting to hire on new members of our team, some admin assistants, to help process those orders and help be around more for the company whenever not all of us can be.
Absolutely. I know a challenge with businesses this size they face is as I was trying to state, growing to horizontally and not necessarily vertically at the same time. And it's got to be a challenge with a company of this size and the industry you're in, with getting inundated with all the orders and not necessarily having the artist, to fulfill. So it's very interesting that you guys are able to kind of identify that and sort of shut down the order pipeline is what you did a bit, right? Turned it down a bit.
We did, yeah. We definitely took a moment to pause and reflect and see where we could best serve the community.
Absolutely. And I'm sure it opens back up and better, stronger, and ready for more orders for the next, right? And that's how you continue to grow.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And quite the team you have built, Carmen, some people would argue that McKenzie Enterprises is maybe a monopoly sort of here in the state. How would you refute that?
It depends on what they're talking about. I think the only thing we have a monopoly on is trading cards, and I have been this company being built was primarily so I would have a place to sell my trading cards eventually, and we did the marketing thing because, well, I'm not going to have just a company waiting for trading cards to be able to be brought into the state. I need to do something in the meantime. And that something in the meantime blossomed, and eventually I got surprised my last birthday is when I got to actually see my trading cards come to life. So that's the only thing I would say we have enough, but we are open to doing trading card packs with anybody. Everything else, like there's plenty of other marketing firms out there that we welcome the competition. Honestly, it helps us and our artists stay up to date on those trends that you're talking about. And also, we can't do everything in the city. We're not trying to do everything.
Right.
Sometimes what we offer isn't what people want. Maybe they want something that is quicker turnaround. Maybe they need something cheap. And there's plenty of options out there. So there's a lot of different marketing firms available to everybody. There's a lot of different photography firms, though there's options, and anybody can use Canva for free even. So it's about, we have high standards, and we keep our artists to those high standards. So people come because they know that we do good work and they want that good work.
Which is evident in the product, but there's nothing, proprietary to your trading card process that would prevent another marketing company from producing as such, correct?
There is kind of an exclusivity contract at the moment for the trading cards.
Absolutely.
So
there is an argument to be
that's
made.
Forever, but that is the only thing that is a monopoly. However, all we do is we print them and distribute them and do the artwork for them. So anybody can purchase a pack from us and sell it for a profit. We are not the distributors. We're just the publishers.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you keep that door open with a wide breath, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We had opened up orders for trading cards to see how that workflow would look. and we have discovered that it was probably not the best format for this medium.
Absolutely.
I think if you're looking for a trading card in the future, you're never going to see us say, "Hey, trading cards are open again." However, they're not closed either.
Right. So your team will kind of work with the people and sort of figure it out. I'm not going to
Mhm.
have, 12 different suits of Nigel in, my different suits coming out in a trading card set, right?
Exactly. So Rai Rai was my trial pack. That's why he had a whole pack of just himself, because that's my brother. I made that pack because it was me trying to
Sort of the
um,
prototype, the proof of concept, if you would, right?
well, sure, yes, there's that, but I made it of him specifically because at the time, whenever we did the photo shoot and I crafted the cards, he was going through a bit of a hard time, and I wanted to show him and remind him that he was still special. So that's why that means something to me, um, and why he got all of the cards.
Absolutely. And the trading cards are rather fantastic too. It's you can tell there's a great deal of effort and the passion that goes into those. And I can't wait to see more packs. I'm rather fascinated with them myself, honestly.
Absolutely. And if there's any artists out there that want to make trading cards, then we are hiring graphic artists, and I'm happy to approve more people to do trading card designs.
Absolutely fantastic. Here, ladies and gentlemen, if you're interested, come down to McKenzie Enterprises and inquire yourself. So, Carmen, I've got to ask as well, of a company this size and with everything else that it dabbles in, what would you say your leadership style's like? How do you ensure that you keep a motivated and productive team that's constantly aspiring to achieve their greatness?
Well, there's more than just me leading, so I think that helps because there's more than one person to go to if one personality doesn't mesh. I think, uh, and I don't know because I don't know me from an outside perspective, but I think I'd probably be um, the hardest person to read the mind of, and only Wyatt's managed to do it.
Yep.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'll let Wyatt answer how it is working with me as a leader.
It's I mean, for me it's easy, I guess, because we're definitely at a similar wavelength. Um, I think that overall though our leadership is very open. It's very much we all have open doors. Um, we're not at the end of the day we're a family. We try not to act like a corporate structure. Yes, we have processes and things like that in place, but
Right.
it's definitely we are a family at the end of the day. And I feel like that helps open up like how we run things.
Absolutely. So your company, I would say, is at the top of its field, and unmatched in what it's doing in the state of San Andreas today. Can you share with us, some of your most memorable moments on the journey here with McKenzie Enterprises?
Hmm. When we were on Spanish Avenue, um, I remember squeezing into that tiny little office back when Kara was still working with us before Original Clothing. We actually did. She did it through McKenzie originally, the clothing bit. Um, it was just, it was homely. It was good to see the family, but also know that we were providing for the family at the same time, all of us. Um, it's kind of a naming it McKenzie Enterprises was a way to give back to Dad for showing us that family doesn't have to be shitty. Um, he gave us all a place to feel like we were at home, so we wanted to make a name for him with his name. Um, so I think Spanish Avenue was a good memory of the journey.
All right, and lastly, I know you all know we've got plenty of aspiring entrepreneurs watching at home, business deep dives. What advice would you give our aspiring entrepreneurs who want to start out their business and grow something possibly to the size of McKinsey Enterprises one day?
understand that no is not no. It's just a roadblock that you have to get around. Find another way, and you'll figure out how to make your dream a reality if it's really what you want to do. I got told no so many times for the trading cards for over a year and a half, and here we are. I didn't give up. I didn't get mad. I just said, okay, not that way then, and found another path. And then also, and this was important for me as well with government, always know when to exit.
Absolutely well said. Great advice from Carmen McKenzie here. Gentlemen, any advice for entrepreneurs at home?
I think for me, it's definitely the relationships you have with the people who are by your side, whether it's colleagues or family or friends. If you're building a business with them, listen, have faith in them, trust their ideas. Having owned two businesses, I've worked with some amazing people, and I am so proud of them, and I want to push other people to achieve. And I think just don't do everything for yourself. Do it for the people around you.
Absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. We can't thank you enough for taking this deep dive with us today. It has been amazing. An amazing story has been told here as well. And I appreciate you guys taking the dive with us today. All right.
There's one final thing.
Oh, yeah. But wait, there's more, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep. So, as far as knowing when to exit, you always want to find a future for your company that doesn't include you, and know when it's okay to leave it. And I think for Alistair and I, we have found that moment. So we are going to be retiring, and
Oh,
Wyatt
yeah.
will be the owner of McKenzie Enterprises.
Why it's being announced as the new owner of McKenzie Enterprises. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm flummoxed. I'm excited for you, Mr. Wyatt, but
Yes.
at the same time, there's a bit of devastation as well. What led to this decision, Carmen? Can we dive into that?
Well, like I said, I've been doing this for 2 years now. And Alistair and I have been joking about retiring for the past 2 months. So I finally said, okay, let's set a date. Because if we're joking about it, we're thinking about it. And it's time. And I think we finally felt ready. Because while we acknowledge that it's now at a point where it's bigger than us, right? It has to outlive us.
Right.
I feel like we've kind of been looking for who's going to be next, and there's no question that it's Wyatt now.
And you found that person.
Absolutely. He's pretty much been in the company for the last couple of months already. It's just time to finally give him that title. So on May 1st, Alistair and I will officially be retired.
Oh, yeah. Well, you've heard it here, ladies and gentlemen, in a First for Business Deep Dives. On May the 1st, you say, you're both retiring.
Yeah, we are.
I will be
Unbelievable.
stepping down to managed position, but Alistair will be full retiring.
Right, is there going to be a sort of... So you're going to stay in a sort of a consultation position for a while as sort of a transitionary role?
I'm going to be just focusing on the trading cards at that point.
Gotcha. So, Wyatt, how you feel?
I'm excited. Obviously, it's nerve wracking to take
There's a
on
bit of
project so
trepidation there,
big.
I believe,
Yeah.
right?
But like they were saying, we've all been working together as a team for the last year, so I don't think that anything's going to change with how the
It's going to be
company's running now.
seamless, right?
Yeah,
Perfect.
definitely. Yeah, I'm excited. It's still nervous, but excited to take on a new challenge.
Absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if it's graphic design or branding or anything that you can think of, anything you could dream of, so to speak, come down to McKenzie Enterprises. And after May the 1st, under the continued ownership of Wyatt here, after Common and Alistair take their retirement, come down to McKenzie Enterprises and make your dreams a reality, ladies and gentlemen. This has been Business Deep Dives. I'm your host, Nigel Worcestershire.